The Buffalo Sabres, 113 points during the regular season, the President's Trophy winners. They earned home ice. They're back on it tonight. They are dressed in blue, and we are underway in Game 5. After the New York Rangers, who are in the traveling whites tonight, prevailed twice with 2-1 decisions at Madison Square Garden, this series gets reduced to a best-of-3 with you on Versus. Michael Nylander working back through center, teaming up with Marcel Hossa and Jaromir Jagr, and the Sabres fans don't wait long to go full throat into Let's Go Buffalo. Jochen Hesch will clear it in. Dainis Sabres met there by Marek Malik. Sabres has some room, turns the corner, feeds the front. Oh, Lundqvist with a marvelous stop there. He robbed Daniel Briere. Avery back for New York. Straka will sift it back behind Ryan Miller. Playing it along the lip of the boards. Brendan Shanahan, Sean Avery, and Martin Straka out there now for head coach Tom Rennie. Shanahan, who had the game winner in Game 4, sent it wide. Lurking back behind the cage. Avery comes to point position, and Briere swats it back onto the New York side.
How big would that have goal been for Briere and for the Sabres?
This Buffalo attack has been short-circuited by Lundqvist. And as Avery tests Miller, he will squeeze with a little fencing after the face. As we are scoreless, and in the first minute, this.
A beautiful pass by Dainis Sabres. Daniel Briere wastes no time, but neither does Henrik Lundqvist, moving left to right. Watch this push. Magnificent. It was labeled. Briere just 8 shots now on home ice. 21 on the road. And this guy, home or road, outstanding this postseason.
Those numbers are getting to be ridiculous. Darren, let's get right into it, though, as Matt Cullen prepares to take this draw for New York. The Sabres keep saying they've got to go upstairs. They've got to go upstairs. It's easy for me to say up here, but that shot was on the ice or down low again.
Well, you don't have time. You want to make sure you get a quick release. And the trade-off is you don't get to pick your spot so much. It was as far away from where Lundqvist was, so it was a well-placed shot, I think. That's a great save.
Rakunik puts it into the corner. Cullen walks in with a wrister wide of a screened Ryan Miller. Even strength 5-on-5 approaching the second minute of the first period as the Stanley Cup playoff activity continues on Versus. Thomas Vanek cruising down the wing. Vanek lowering that shoulder, and then he was pickpocketed by Rakunik. Bounced loose again. Vanek to the front, missing for Maxim Afinogenov, who's back in Lindy Ruff's lineup tonight. Long wrister from Spacek that went well wide, as the Sabres look for Spacek's first point of the postseason. Rangers in the white. Playing it away, it's Cullen. Looking for Callahan, who was forced away. Ryan Callahan finessed his way through center. Cullen on the feed, and that was on the wrong side for Isbister. And Girardi teaming up with Fedor Tutin back for the Rangers to protect Henrik Lundqvist. As Tutin jousts this one loose. Girardi ahead for Benson off the target. Smooth skating, Teppo Numminen will work as a rear guard pair with Dmitry Kalinin tonight. Girardi puts a bump into Pominville. More hitting as Paul Gaustad gets into the act. Gaustad playing his first game for the Sabres since early February.
We showed you how players prepare. He couldn't, game time couldn't come quick enough for the poor kid.
Practically chewing on nails.
He was on the ice, he was on the bench. He didn't know how to handle that nervous energy, but he's right there now. This is what you could have anticipated in this game, but especially with number 28 being in the middle of it. He needed a release for all that energy.
Around the pack there, he took a short left. Number 28 in the blue did, a short left at Marcel Hossa. Officials tonight, referees Dan O'Halloran and Don Van Massenhoven. Here's the Gaustad injury back in February.
The tendon in his left leg gets cut by the back of his skate. You could barely see it, just as Danny Heatley was jousting with the puck with Gaustad. We're talking about a lot of work in the whirlpool and in the pool with running against a tide, kind of what they do in the NFL more. Didn't have to break the bone, though. They said this was an injury they never seen before. The tendon was severed. You didn't have to break the bone to reattach it.
The doctors were looking for a case study, and they couldn't find one.
He became it.
Sabres advance through center. Jochen Heshtu has been quiet in terms of goals in this postseason and has been pretty much in a drought for the latter half of the regular season, too. Ludman will regroup. Swedish-born blue liner Henrik Talinder on a chip and chase for himself. Muscled there by Malik. Bounced free to Connolly. Tim Connolly marked by Sean Avery. He'll switch it up. Brendan Shanahan receives some pressure. Dinas Zubris has been a heavy hitter in the postseason. Back for Campbell. Fires, glove down. Rebound, and Briere was beaten again by the pad of Lundqvist. Campbell pinching in from the point as the Sabres defense activates here on home ice. The lead a bit strong. Rangers will counterattack. Straka freewheels down the wing. Martin Straka collared along the boards by Connolly. Campbell sweeps it, and Spacek moves it. We are scoreless and just past the 4-minute mark. Joe Beninati, Darren Elliott upstairs. Bob Harwood, our ringside reporter, with you in Buffalo, New York tonight. Sabres do not clear. Girardi walks in, pumps it right to the midsection of Miller, and there's no loose change.
Both goaltenders outstanding. Lundqvist has Daniel Briere's number early on. Good point shot, gets through. Little rebound, there's Briere. Campbell with the long-range slapper. Traffic in front by Briere. Great left pad save. Briere, he is the catalyst. Home? Ooh, he needs to join the party, as we said in our open. Road, he's been better. He's got 2 shots on goal to add to that total here on home ice, but he played more than any other Buffalo Sabre in Game 4, Joe, and that tells me Lindy Ruff considers him to be the catalyst.
More numbers for you. He led the league in terms of even strength points during the regular season. He's had a chance for 2 even strength goals in the first 5 minutes tonight. A turnover here. A backhand that's rolled softly wide by Peter Kruka. Vanek and Roy and a Finnegan off on ice in the blue for Buffalo. If you're just getting started with us, there's a delayed penalty call coming as Miller will clamp onto it. Referee Don Van Massenhoven bringing a player with him to the penalty box.
A ghastly gaff in front of goaltender Ryan Miller. Leads to the extra pressure in the zone, and Derek Roy needs to take a penalty in helping. Well, maybe it's a needless penalty. Came up high. Little run, little high finish on Ryan Callahan by Derek Roy. So he goes to the box for charging.
And in terms of special teams in this series, Darren, the Rangers have had the upper hand. They've had some timely goals from their power play group. Their penalty killing's been off the charts.
Penalty kill, even Tom Rennie had to say, he looked us in the eyes and said, our penalty killing's been great. I mean, when your coaches glow like that, but it has been. There's no other superlative you can use.
Zubris and Drury out there penalty killing for Buffalo as Roosevelt will swing. And the Rangers build some momentum back through center ice. This series is tied at 2 games apiece. This is Game 5 at HSBC Arena. Rangers on the man-power advantage. Jaromir Jagr gallops into the corner. Talinder got there first, and he'll clear. Derek Roy serves another 118 in the penalty box as you watch Straka zip back through center. Straka had a power play goal here. In the earlier games of this series, Miller makes the stop there on the snap wrister. Booming drive from Mara that did not get through as the Sabres come to the rescue to clear. Sean Avery's turn now to wheel through center. And he hears it from the Sabre faithful. Avery among the NHL postseason penalty minute leaders. Mara keeps it alive. Shanahan swats it for Avery. He'll switch it up. 40 seconds with which to work on the power play for New York. Mara back behind the cage. Avery tries to pivot to the front. Back to point position for Cullen. He'll rake it out there wide. Mara stared down by Connolly. Hossa shifting gears for Avery again. Pressure on the perimeter from Buffalo's penalty killers, frustrating New York to this point. Avery taps. Hossa funnels it right back to him. Avery walks the line. Miller had the goalie stick ready, and the carom winds up at center. Roy will be let loose in 5 seconds. Avery with a trigger, and that's snatched out of the air. The good glove hand of Ryan Miller on display.
We've talked about Lundqvist. What about these gaudy numbers? One guy's with 93.2%. Right behind him, 93.1%, Ryan Miller. Some of the best goaltending head-to-head I've seen in a long, long time. Sometimes you get one game like that, Joe. We've had 3 in a row.
You know, it's the cliched expression, he's in the zone. I asked Ryan a little bit about that earlier today, and he's saying, yeah, I had one of those kind of periods during the Hobie Baker season at Michigan State. Similarly, he felt that way at the American Hockey League when he set records in Rochester. And this year, right now, he says his confidence is brimming. Spot check. Rolls it around the dasher. And past Girardi. The two teams are back to 5-on-5. 12:43 to go in a scoreless first. The only show in town for the NHL in terms of playoffs tonight. From here at HSBC Arena, the Sabres held serve in games 1 and 2. The Rangers responded with 2 one-goal decisions at Madison Square Garden. Adam Mayer working back behind the cage. Frantic battle along the boards. Isbister will play clear. As once again, the Rangers have scratched Ryan Holweg tonight. Sabres taking Daniel Paille out of the lineup, as well as impressive rookie Drew Stafford with a return of Paul Gostad. Ortmeyer was crunched by Ludman. As Pominville takes over, there's another penalty call. We'll tell you who's guilty in a moment. We're just getting started in Buffalo, New York on Versus.
12:01 to go, first period, and Buffalo still scoreless. Before we drop the puck tonight, we showed you Danny Briere's pregame routine of warming up the wrists with a heavy hockey stick. How heavy? About 10 pounds of forged steel. Sound effects specialist down here in the Zamboni area. This guy had it made by a company in the Outaouais region, just outside of Ottawa, near the Quebec-Ottawa border, his hometown, his home area. And he says playing with this between periods helps him keep the wrists and the hands ready for quick release, guys. We've seen it so far tonight.
And I heard you had a microphone made of the same material. Is that true to get ready for games?
Got to be similar to Big Poppy's batting donut in Boston. As Ludman clears this one back to center. The Rangers with the #1 power play in the playoffs. They are back on ice with a second chance before this game is 9 minutes old. Jágr steaming in there, pad save by Ryan Miller. And this one is sent the length by Chris Drury. That will allow the Sabres to change the penalty-killing unit.
New York Rangers, probably exactly what they'd hoped for. Sabres a little over-exuberant, taking a couple early minors, diffuses their offense, allows them to get some offensive rhythm and flow here.
Miller hoisted it around the curve. It never got to Connolly. This one bounding back to point position. Rangers in the white, skating 5-on-4. Straka for Jágr. Shanahan keeps it hot. Nylander, the playmaker, leads the NHL postseason in plus-minus. Straka on a backdoor look for Jágr. Tallinder was right there with him, hip to hip. Nylander again. Dummied through by Shanahan, all the way back for Straka. Jágr will get things coordinated. A feed to the front that was glanced away as the Sabres will chop back through center. On the fly, it's Jochen Hesch with good speed, working to the inside, but played well by Michael Rozabal. Rapidly, we move towards the midway mark of this first period. Nothing on the big board. No score in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semifinal between Buffalo and New York. At center, it is Mara to reload. Carl Rakunik playing catch with his defense partner. Nimble little move there by Rakunik. Puts it into the corner. Finish for Teppo Newman is there. The Sabres don't get it out. Tail end of a Ranger power play. 5 seconds left in it. Booming drive. Stop there. Miller tried to lunge out to cover. Another chance for Rakunik. Mara waltzing with it just as Mayer leaves the box. Buffalo's back to even strength. And there, with a good active stick, was Adam Mayer punching it back into Lundqvist's neighborhood.
And that's going to the right spot, knowing exactly what you're supposed to do coming out of the penalty box. Mentally sharp there by Adam Mayer.
Brian Campbell will retreat. Spot check. Heaves it only as far as Mara. Mara tumbled one along for Blair Betts. Rangers and Sabres skating 5-on-5. Girardi playing it on through. Isbister watches and then moves on the forecheck with Betts. Sabres from board to board, picking up Campbell. Active defender goes 360 on Tuch. Campbell to the front. Looking again for Briere, who's had the 2 best scoring chances for the Sabres in this hockey game.
Campbell active, though. Trying to key the attack, spark it a little bit after the 2 penalty kills.
Briere off to Dasher. Briere to the front. Too hot to handle for Vanek. Vanek swooping back to the point position. Campbell ready to lower the boom. Feeding to Kodelik. Kodelik calmly dished it into the corner. Tootin would gladly take a whistle here. Vanek to the front. Kodelik on his backhand. Tallinder playing the end boards. Briere looking to stuff. Daniel Briere trying to play catch with Vanek at the post. Briere shimmies along the Dasher. Hossa there to intercept. And it will be Nylander not getting it out, but getting some help from the defense. And the wing, namely Hossa, to clear.
Excellent shift by the Buffalo Sabres. They gave themselves outs. They had those short little passes. That's typically how they play offense when they're going. And that was their best shift so far.
And Finnegan stumbles a little bit. Sabres looking to generate some offense once more. They've killed off 2 shorthanded situations in the game's first 12 minutes. Even strength now as Mayer carves down the alleyway. Lundqvist doesn't play the puck very often or very well.
Does everything else superbly.
You're not going to grade him high on the Marty Turco scale, huh?
No.
And Finnegan parked back behind the cage. Dipping and diving. Working around a pick. Rangers able to defuse that situation and play it back to center. As Rakunik turns, both teams are in the midst of line changes on the go. No score as we are almost at 7 minutes to play in period number 1. Joe Beninati, Darren Elliott, Bob Harwood here at HSBC Arena. Back at Hockey Central in the studio, Bill Clement, Keith Jones, and Brian Engblom will be keeping us company throughout the night. Straka angles in. Yager over skates. End-to-end for Connolly. Connolly to the wing. As Briere lost the handle. We haven't seen a lot of Jaromir Jagr in the last few minutes. He's apparently had an equipment problem to deal with. Marek Malik, fellow native of the Czech Republic, on for Jagr. Isbister at the line and offsides New York. Stay with us. On the other side of the break, we'll hear from Ranger bench boss Tom Rennie on Versus.
Scoreless back in Buffalo on the Rangers bench with Tom Rennie. 2 power play attempts. Is it glass half full or glass half empty? Are you building momentum for those chances?
How about momentum?
How about Mo? It starts with an M-O.
It does. You know, we've got to capitalize on those opportunities. They're few and far between, so we've got to make sure we get the job done.
Any sense of being on your heels right now with this Buffalo team's got a bit more speed going for them?
They're coming after us, but, you know, we just hang in there like we have been. Don't give them too much in the middle. We'll be okay.
Tom, thank you.
You bet.
All right, Joe.
Gentlemen, thanks very much. Sabres and Rangers tonight. And Darren, Tom Rennie earlier in the day was talking about taking the game and breaking it down into 5- and 10-minute increments.
Well, they had to like the first 10 minutes, other than the fact they didn't cash in. These guys don't miss a trick, though. He says they're few and far between. Buffalo, the least penalized team in the postseason, so he knows there won't be too many if the numbers bear out.
Or at the least, too many more. Snap wrister! Missing the target there. Chris Drury working with Jochen Hesch and Dinas Zubris. Little line alteration for Buffalo head coach Lindy Ruff. Jaromir Jagr, full speed. Jagr pulls the trigger. Stick save for Ryan Miller. 5:50 to go. That's the time separating us from a Dodge intermission report on Versus. Henrik Tallinder putting a perfect pass on for Zubris. He's in. Stopped. Rebound chance. Also rejected. Henrik Lundqvist very much on his game. Zubris was hooked. Sabres will have the power play when you return. Dinas Zubris steaming in there and meeting a brick wall named Henrik Lundqvist. You and the boys back at Hockey Central. Vetter Tootin gone for hooking. Rangers shorthanded. Sabres trying to take the lead on home ice here in Game 5 of this Eastern Semi. Kalinin playing catch with a Finnegan. Slap pass one more time from a sharp angle. Roosevelt keeping an eye on Kodelik. Finnegan with all those jets on the outside. scooping for Derek Roy. Kalinin next. Rister, that was blocked. Well done by Blair Betts in the shooting channel. Vanek, the high scorer for the Sabres during the regular campaign. Kodelik for Kalinin. Alesh Kodelik, 12 in the blue, has a lightning bolt for a shot. Roy on back. Kalinin Rister, that was deadened, and Betts continues to do the job shorthanded.
Kalinin wanted the puck. The left wing faceoff dot. They used that as their anchor. One more pass would have been the play there. Kalinin opted for that wrist shot that got blocked.
The talented hands of Tim Connolly brings it ahead. On for Dinas Sabres. Sabres plays the end wall all the way back around to point position for Brian Campbell. 4.5 to go in a scoreless first. Connolly scanning the defense. Zubris probing on the outside. Campbell shifting the angle again. Good rotation defensively by Girardi. Briere sent it wide. Drury on the retrieval. That was something Lindy Ruff was demanding. His team needed to get the puck back on the power play. Had to work harder as Rakunik did not get it out. 25 seconds on the power play. Poor pass. And Shanahan will send it all the way.
It was forced. Drury tried to go all the way across the ice. The seam wasn't there.
Tootin has just 13 seconds left in his sentence. Campbell to the front. Briere on a relay to the slot. Ripped high by Chris Drury as he had defenders swarming.
And they have been swarming on the penalty kill. The Rangers, that is. Good look there. Creative. And then a good rotation. And Lindy Ruff, you talked about it, Joe. The one area where he wasn't positive was with his power play. He said, we need to be better. He said, we didn't work hard enough. I was disappointed. And it had to do with puck retrievals. That has to do with hard work. He said, you have to still make plays, but you have to outwork the penalty killers.
It was interesting to hear him, Darren, say that they were overdoing it, overplaying some situations.
Overdoing it and then maybe underperforming when it comes to just keeping pucks alive. And what he said is, don't think that your teammate is going to keep the play alive before you get, you're already thinking to get it set up before you would have it retrieved. And that was what he said. They were getting a little bit ahead of themselves.
Aside from game one, it's been a low-scoring series. The whistle as the puck was played with a high stick. These two teams have squandered 3 power play chances between them in the first period tonight.
That puts pressure. And that's why we said at the top of our show that the penalty killers, Roosevelt and the Rangers, they've been so good. The offensive-minded Sabres, they're chasing this series now. They've lost 2 games in a row. You can talk all you want about, yeah, we're at home, we're a good team. They know all that. But right now, the Rangers are gaining in confidence, and the Sabres are seeking it.
Jochen Hesch looking for Drury. Roosevelt, one of the heroes for New York, stepping up. It's been an interesting series for number 3 in the white. Roosevelt's had a couple of different knee injuries to deal with as we get a whistle here in a stoppage. Just 3:08 to go in the first. The Sabres hoping that Hesch can get his game back on track.
We'll take a goal from just about anybody at this point. If you're the Rangers, so far so good, other than the fact that you squandered a couple of opportunities yourself on the power play to secure a lead. But I think you just want to make sure that the Sabres don't get into any kind of offensive rhythm.
Now that Ottawa's Mike Fisher got himself on the board as Tallinder cranks this one up. Hesch has taken the most shots in the playoffs without a goal. Drury on a backhander. It's loose there. And Hesch drilled it wide.
Looks like the guy who misses a 3-footer, feeling a little bit of pressure.
Marek Malik was dumped. Sabres are going to go shorthanded despite the protests of the sellout crowd in Buffalo.
Buffalo number 15, 2 minutes tripping.
There's a chance, some good work. Look at this, Drury working hard. And there's Hesch. He heals it. And then there's the penalty. Zubris. Chop, trip.
In game one here, it was the Sabres who were afforded 4 first-period power plays. This evening in game 5, this is opportunity number 3 for New York, and a chance to strike late in the opening stanza. Cullen saucers it into the corner, but it's offside on the dump-in as Avery was tangled up, and Jaromir Jagr continues to have some issues with his skates.
That's odd because he plays at Madison Square Garden, where not the greatest ice in the league. Right now he's having a hard time getting the blades exactly the way he wants them.
How about Jaromir Jagr earlier in the day? Here we go, Golden State. He was cheering for the Warriors and hoping that his Rangers could behave just like him.
And I was talking to Larry Brooks, who's a beat writer for the New York Rangers. He said all year long, it's funny. He said, well, we can't win just like the Dallas Mavericks. What do you think we're the Dallas Mavericks? So today, there is bandwagon basketball fan touting Golden State's upset victory.
Just a little thicker. 2:20 to go in this first period. 1:35 left on the Ranger power play. Kalinin will fetch. Play it along the dasher board. Speedy Derek Roy carving down the wing and clearing it just as he was buried by Avery. Fans want to call every time Avery goes after some contact.
Well, that was marginal, though. That puck was long gone by the time Avery delivered that hit on Roy.
Ryan Callahan was poke checked at the attacking line. Short-handed bid. Here comes Connolly. Connolly finessed through the legs on Mara. Met at the post by Lundqvist.
He's done that move now 3 times in this series.
And they still can't stop him. Jagr, who has goals in each of the last 2 games, looking for Straka. Straka tried to come back to number 68. Ludman was in the way. 1:35 separating us from the Dodge intermission at Gordon versus. Strolling in here, Jagr again. Missed the target. And it will chase the power play running Rangers back to center. Roosevelt taking his sweet time. Jagr stripped. And Jochen Hescht will do the honors. Roosevelt driving back with Nylander. Straka looking for some separation. Finds it with Jagr. Jagr got cut down. No call from the referees, O'Halloran or Van Massenhoven. It's a 2-on-1 short-handed. Roy with Tallinder. Roy fires. He missed the mark. 50 seconds to go in the first. As Gostad will play a little game of keep away.
And how about Jagr falling? Those skates still not right.
Great shift here, penalty killing for Derek Roy. That speed serving him well as Girardi tumbles one back to center.
But when you're having trouble scoring, look at how fine he was with that shot. He missed the net.
Roy winds and drives. That was blocked. Girardi will take it. Marek Malik is hobbling on his way back to the bench. The Rangers towering giant on D. Slowly back to the Ranger bench.
Chaos, all because of the penalty killers. The Sabres getting their skating legs going in the latter stages of this first period.
Final 10 ticks of the frame. Briere on the lead. A little long for Vanek. Vanek takes it off the wall, twists one to the front, nobody there. As this first period will come to its conclusion right now. 20 minutes in the books. 1/3 of regulation. Rangers, Sabres, no score. And a lot of these guys playing a game of slip and slide tonight.
Tough skates for Jagr all night long. I don't think Tallinder did very much. Jagr down in a heap. And then Marek Malik, he goes down awkwardly. He still had to make a play on his way to the bench.
Gotta be careful there for those skates. Marek Malik.
Gostad on the bench with Jason Pominville put together as a line. So lots of communication necessary.
Mayer and his buddies continue to be frustrated by that man. Henrik Lundqvist has been just about pristine over 124 minutes.
That's over 2 full hockey games, time-wise.
As we roll on with period number 2 from HSBC Arena, Joe Beninati, Darren Elliott upstairs. Bob Harwood is our ringside reporter. So glad you've tuned in for Game 5 of this Eastern Conference semifinal. The Sabres trying to break out on top as Lundqvist makes the easy stop on Ludman. These two teams begin period 2 at even strength 5-on-5. The Rangers have a 2-on-1. Jagr fires it wide. He took the feed from Nylander, but trimmed it too fine. Jagr lording away Dinas Zubris. Those two big bodies and former teammates in Washington have been at each other's throats throughout this series.
And I concur with Keith Jones in the studio. Hockey Central, he talked about the second best player behind Ryan Miller for Buffalo has been Dinas Zubris. Both defensively, and even though he hasn't scored a goal, he's been creative.
We were talking with Dinas earlier in the day. He was checking his hockey sticks, looking at them one by one, and he chose one special one and said, this is the one. This is the baby that's going to get me on the board tonight. We'll see.
He's been a premier passer, though, even though he hasn't scored it. You know what? It's all about scoring, even when you're casting a defensive role.
He had a handful of assists in the first round series as Buffalo excused the New York Islanders from the proceedings. Briere with a wrister. Kicked out of there by Lundqvist. Angling back through center, Jean Avery. Avery had 3 of New York's 7 shots in the first period. The Rangers missed firing on 3 power play chances in the opening 20. Avery from the sharp angle. That was turned aside. Miller wouldn't give him any room between the pads. Second minute of period 2. Newman and hot foots back there to get it. And begins the breakout. A little bit dangerously for Alex Kodali. Sent it along to the Ranger line, and then this one is put off the ring. The faceoff comes inside New York territory. We are tied at 2 games apiece. This graphic tells you Game 5 is big.
I know the playoff time is do or die, and it's not a must-win situation, but you can see by that number, you best give yourself a chance to win by winning Game 5.
Of course, there will be a Game 6 in this series. It'll be Sunday at Madison Square Garden on NBC. The Rangers are perfect at home in the playoffs this spring at 4-0. Pair of victories over Atlanta and 2 2-1 decisions over the Sabres. Derek Roy, the birthday boy at age 24 today. Number 9 lost possession. That comes Ryan Callahan to the inside. Able to get around Spacek but not beat Campbell, but there's a penalty call coming, and it's a hook. Referees tonight, Dan O'Halloran and Don Van Massenhoven.
Buffalo number 6, minor penalty, hooking.
You could see Spacek took him to the outside lane and then used his stick as Callahan jumped to the inside. And in the background, referee Van Massenhoven with the call.
Sabre fans are mumbling in the stands, and you can imagine Lindy Ruff is none too pleased as well.
They're not pleased, but they're not disagreeing anymore. They know that their defenseman overcommitted to the outside. Callahan made him pay by jumping to the inside.
Got to be concerned, giving the Rangers 4 power play chances before we're halfway through the hockey game. Nylander is parked back behind the cage. Jágr along the wall. Straka at a point position. Along with Roosevelt, the one-timer comes high and hard off the glass. Zubris bear-hugging Jágr. Nylander, nice look for Roosevelt. He'll settle. Straka keeping it on this overload side. Roosevelt and Nylander working the dasher. Jágr lying in the weeds. The pass gets away from him, and the Sabres have an easy time sending it back out. Chris Drury throws one to the front, answered there by Lundqvist. He'll cover long enough for the whistle.
We put it at the net. Tony Ludman was jumping up as well, but at the end of a penalty kill sequence, this was the safer play. Put it at the net. There was a seam pass going across the ice, but if that happens and goes the other way, they're in no position to defend.
Sabres, Darren, were the highest scoring team in the NHL during the regular season. They were number 1 at home. They averaged close to 4 goals a game. Nothing in the big board tonight, as we are just cresting past 3 minutes played in period 2.
Joe, it's obvious you don't want to give the opposition 4 power plays, but the byproduct as well is the fact that you don't get to start your offense, even if you're able to defend well on a penalty kill.
Moving back through center, Connolly, joined there by the trailer Hess. Connolly, a fancy Dan extraordinaire, not going to fool Carl Rakunin. Ryan Callahan, the Rochester, New York native, loops one into the corner. Callahan, a rough tumble to the boards for the young man who had an outstanding American League season under Jim Schoenfeld's direction with Hartford. Cullen sends it in. Kalinin will be the first to get it. Petri Kalinin and the Sabres shorthanded another 25 seconds. That's the time remaining in Spacek's penalty. The Rangers continue to be rebuffed by the penalty killers for the Sabres. Here's a turnover, however. Didn't work out so well for Jaromir Jágr.
Rebuffed. Very nice. Buffalo. Oh.
You're learning, aren't you? You're starting to read between my lines. That's not good. Don't pull back the curtain. Jágr swooping to the back. Jágr to the front now. Deflection try. Oh, it was there for Straka. He rushed it a bit. It was bouncing. Straka to the point position for Marek Malik. To the front. Jágr glanced it right on, and Miller was ready for that redirect. Sabres back to even strength. 5-on-5 we go. Straka on the hand ahead. Jágr drops it off. Avery pumps one off the defender. And now the Sabres look to fly in transition. Alex Kodelik down the dasher. Finnegan working with him. Kodelik to the front, one more for Briere! Beaten again by Lundqvist. Finnegan from the sharp angle, that was turned away, and Jagr, dead tired at the end of a shift, able to get it back for Avery. Moved along for Hossa. Hossa, gorgeous moves! He got spun around and down. More power play time for New York.
End-to-end action. What a move by Hossa. Spun to the ice. But here's the Jagr, no look. Nylander right there. Wide open net. And Hossa comes in. Not much Alex Kodelik could do as a forward against Marcel Hossa. Good recognition by Hossa. He played a one-on-one knowing he had a forward prone.
The unenviable position for Alex Kodelik is Marcel Hossa, the much less celebrated younger brother of Thrashers superstar Marian Hossa, has a seat. Turns the floor back over to the Ranger power play group. 14:49 to go, scoreless. Second period, our continuing coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs on Versus. Brendan Shanahan for Michael Nylander. Mara from long range, deflected. Pruka to the front. Lunging out was Miller as Callahan was parked in the slot. Nylander coordinates with a little backhand. Nylander follows it up. Michael Nylander's wrister didn't get through. Pruka sipped it wide. Sabres has time, and he'll shovel it back onto the New York half. Kodelik off for another 90 seconds. An ice-level look at Mara, deliberately to center. Jagr rumbling wide. Mara bombs away. Pad saved by Miller with a little company, namely Sean Avery in the crease. Avery wins the battle along the dasher. Puts it back for Mara again. Waiting for a screen to develop. Jagr says, give it to me. Then he finds Rakunik. Blast on the way. And it's tumbled over top of the crossbar. 55 seconds with which to work on the power play for New York. Rangers on the road in the white sweaters here in Game 5. Series tied at 2. Mara back. Rakunik will switch it. Avery shanked it. He broke his stick in half. And it's an easy clear for Jochen Hesht, who then got mauled by Avery.
He didn't want another stick. He just wanted to lull everybody into a false sense of security. Drilled Hesht on his way to the bench.
Thought that he was disarmed. No.
Disarming, maybe.
That won't stop him from hitting anybody. Pominville didn't clear it. Roosevelt walking in. Roosevelt, quick one-touch passing. Miller, a super stop there on Shanahan's quick release. Rangers revolve right back into the attack. 7 seconds left in the Kodelik minor. Great stop there by Miller as he beat Shanahan, a member of the 600-plus goal club.
Fans are loving it. They're loving the goaltending at both ends, but especially their guy.
Ortmeyer stepping back to the fray. And Ortmeyer putting some pressure on. He hammers Henrik Talinder on the advance for Thomas Vanek. Marek Malik comes over to control for New York. Scoreless hockey, but entertaining in Buffalo. 12:25 to go in period 2. Isbister to the front. Knocked away. Sabres with plenty of get up and go. Finnegan carving in. Fires! Lundqvist looked behind him, and it dribbled out the backside wide.
That's what Lindy Ruff was hoping for from Maxime Finnegan, getting him back in the lineup.
8 minutes gone by in period 2. Fans are buzzing in a sold-out HSBC arena. Briere right to the midsection. Lundqvist can't find it. It's in the paint. And it's covered up long enough for the officials to lose sight. As the fans and the Sabres players are unhappy, to say the least. It has been a series dominated by great net minding at both ends. Daniel Briere frustrated once again. Lundqvist shaking his head saying, you know what? I got a little lucky with that one. We continue with more in period number 2. Ryan Miller at one end showing his flexibility. Lundqvist ready to save the day at the other.
11:56 to go in this sensational second period in Buffalo. A Buffalo sensation in the making is Pat Kane, 18 years old, OHL Rookie of the Year, 145 points, led all scorers in that league, and the #1 draft pick, possibly, coming up in June. You're from here. Is that on the back burner when you're in this building tonight?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I just came here tonight to be a fan, and you know, it's fun watching this level of hockey. You see great players out there like the Jagers and the Brières, and you know, it's just fun seeing this competition.
You mentioned a 6'4" guy and maybe about a 5'7" guy. I'm assuming you identify more with the little guys. Do you watch them and pick up every time you watch an NHL game how to survive at that size and skill level?
Yeah, definitely, especially in the playoffs where the energy level is so high and the competition level is so high. You see guys like Briere and Andy McDonald from Anaheim, and those kind of guys. You try to pick up things, and I'm just trying to develop my game now, and watching guys like that, it's pretty easy.
Now you're under the tutelage of the Hunter brothers up in London. You played under the U18 team. Pat Verbeek was an assistant coach. I imagine these guys gave you great advice about perspective heading into draft day.
Yeah, definitely. Verbeek, you know, he says never take a shift off, and that was his big thing when I played there. And the Hunter brothers, you know, they always stress my defense and everything like that, but just getting stronger and, you know, working out the offseason should help me.
Good luck in June, and the Sabres ball cap says it all. Hang in there.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe.
Guys, thanks very much. Buffalo, New York native Pat Kane, projected to be among the top picks in the NHL draft this coming June in Columbus. Kane is a top prospect. Alexei Sharapanov from Russia will be highly regarded. There's another American who's expected to go in the top 4 or 5. That's James Van Riemsdyk.
USA Hockey's done a fantastic job with their hockey development programs. The U14, U16, U18, World Junior teams. It has made a big difference in terms of development to go all the way to the National Hockey League.
Chicago Blackhawks won the draft lottery. They'll have the #1 pick in June in Columbus. Here in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals, the action continues on versus. No score, moving towards the midway mark of period 2.
But, you know, I'm not a marketing genius, but Kaniak, shouldn't he go to Carolina? I mean, it's an out-of-the-built marketing campaign.
There's a penalty call coming against Carl Rakunik. The Rangers go shorthanded right here. Van Massenhoven emphatically says holding.
And with the way this is going, with the 5 opportunities squandered by the Rangers, Van Massenhoven with the indication. Buffalo Sabres, an offensive-minded team. Kodalik, there's the free hand. Doesn't look like much, but it looks like a penalty because it is. Carl Rakunik reaching out to contain Kodalik.
This Sabre group in the blue, just 1 for their last 17 on the power play. Trying to end that dry spell, get themselves on the board first in Game 5. Connolly and Campbell in back for Buffalo. Have a look at how they have been shut down.
They haven't even gotten shots on goal over half their power play opportunities. That's not the Buffalo Sabre team. I don't care what they are in terms of rank. They usually put pressure on you with the power play.
Connolly bumped off the biscuit. Ortmeyer watches go over his head and all the way back to Ryan Miller.
And Joe, that goes back to what we talked about in the first period. Tom Rennie couldn't say enough good things about his penalty killing unit. Yes, the goaltender, but you can see by that stat, it's been everybody in front of the goaltender.
Just beaming about this group. Betts, one of the guys who leads the pack, and Betts does the honors again. First 50 seconds of the power play for the Sabres goes a glimmering. Campbell in a little bit of trouble as Avery was there to pester him. Maxim Afinogenov back in the lineup in Game 5. He was held out of Game 4. Afinogenov driving off the defenders. Kodalik waits. Tees it up there. Point drive boomed wide by Kalinin. There was traffic in front. Kalinin does not keep this in. As the Sabres try to rewind, Girardi will tell them to go fetch.
The skating ability of Afinogenov did allow entry into the zone, though, by the Sabres.
Afinogenov wheeling back through center. Leaving for Roy. On to Kalinin. Derek Roy posted up. Kodalik, one-timer. Stopped by Lundqvist as he had company on the crease. Vanek was looking for any table scraps. Back at point position. Sabre fans want another call. They won't get it.
2 sequences, Joe, though. Afinogenov with speed backs the Ranger defenseman up. They're allowed to get set up, and they got good point shots with traffic.
Carl Rakunik will be set free in 4 seconds for New York. Roy dished it for Pominville. Pominville back on top to Talinder. They work it rink wide. It's shanked by Ludman. As we're back to 5-on-5 with 8 minutes to go in period 2. Scoreless in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Semifinal. The other half of the Eastern bracket, Ottawa in control against the New Jersey Devils. 3 games to 1. Miller will slow it down, and you watch Tolinder head up ice. A lengthy pass for Hesh. Hesh got clipped. It will be another Buffalo power play. Jochen Hesh draws the foul. Henrik Lundqvist has been feeling the heat, and it will continue when we're back on Versus.
Welcome back to Buffalo. Derek Roy celebrating a birthday. Would love to celebrate a Sabres goal to break this thing open, at least a 1-0 lead. The power play chances are coming. What's the frustration level right now not being able to get one?
We're not frustrated. I think we're getting chances. We're throwing the puck to the net. We're getting some guys there. I think just a matter of execution now and just crashing that net.
How hard is the temptation not to mug and hook and hold in a series like this in a time like this?
Oh, you gotta control your frustration. You gotta control your emotions. This is the playoffs, and I think if we can do that, I think we'll be okay.
Derek, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Joe.
Fellas, thanks very much. Derek Roy, the Ottawa native, turning 24 today, trying to celebrate with his first ever goal against Henrik Lundqvist. For the moment, the Sabres and the blue sweaters on the manpower advantage for the 3rd time. Skating 5-on-4 here with Connolly at one point, Campbell the other. Dainis Sabres takes the pass. Working a little 2-man game against Malik. Rister! Stopped by Lundqvist. Rebound loose, but skated to safety by Malik. He fumbled it. Zubris back behind the cage. Campbell from skate to stick. Power play time for the Sabres, another 1:15. The open man is Connolly. Pump fake around Betts. Sharp angle now to the slot. Loose there. And it will just trundle back to the center stretch.
Brian Campbell's such a good skater. Didn't panic. Got back to that loose puck before Sean Avery could get to it.
This is Campbell racing back through center. Mara and Rakunik will be stationed as defenders protecting Lundqvist. Another 50 seconds in the Buffalo manpower advantage. Drury leaking back behind the cage. Drury and Briere. Rakunik ran over 48 in the blue. Briere went down heavily. Campbell walks the line away from Shanahan. Connolly surveys. He'll choose Campbell. Closing in. Connolly from his strong side. Routine stop for Lundqvist. And the Rangers will advance. Back through center. Straka lowering that shoulder. Straka on the hesitation move. Looking for any help and then content to just place it below the goal line. Rangers will get Girardi back in 8 seconds. 5:50 to go, second period. That's the time separating us from the Verizon Wireless Intermission Report on Versus. We'll be checking back in with Bill Clement, Keith Jones, and Brian Engblom at Hockey Central. Back through center, it's a Finneganov. Zooming in. Missed it wide on the short side. Newman keeps it alive. Vanek posted up back behind the cage. Roosevelt right there with him in his hip pocket. Rangers back to even strength. 5-on-5 we go. Just more than 5 minutes left in period 2. This series deadlocked at 2 apiece. Each team has won twice on its home ice. Jaromir Jagr, more points against the Sabres than any active player in the league. His centering pass was gobbled up. End to end, it's a Finneganov, lowering the shoulder. Help comes from Vanek. Late man off the bench, it's Ludman. Ludman to the goal line and below. Funneled away by Nylander. He'll chip it along for Jagr, and the Rangers are out to center. Fans serenading Jagr with boos as he's bowled over by Vanek. Jagr bounced right back up. Nylander looking to the slot. That pass was deflected. Rakunik was the intended target. It'll come the length, and it will be icing against Buffalo. In Game 5, teams tend to follow the lead of their captains. They can take their cue from the skilled dynamos up front. And as always, they rely upon the stinginess of the netminders on Versus. Bill, thank you very much. So many highlights for you and the gang back at the studios to sift through, and all of those are available 1 a.m. Eastern Time on a show we like to call On the Fly on Versus. 4:15 to go in our second period. No score in Buffalo. Gostad back into the lineup. Been so happy to be there. Filled with emotion throughout the day. Gostad parks himself in front for a pass that never arrives. Back comes New York. Pruka with Callahan. Callahan to the front. Pruka's little redirect went off the toe of his stick. Campbell for the Sabres, surrounded. Good work by Cullen. Cullen wrist to right on. Rebound was left juicy, and Pruka did not stash it as Spacek was close by.
It's a couple of wide open nets. One on a pass, Jágr to Straka. That one, a rebound, is right there. Pruka fails to cash.
Even in full strength, 5-on-5. Shots on goal, favoring the Sabres in this contest, 20-12, unofficially. Roosevelt giving some ground away from the advances of Adam Mayer. Mayer will check out as the Sabres change on the fly. Roosevelt scoops it ahead. Jágr on a little bump set, and Host is not going far. Jochen Hesch back for the Sabres, determined into the offensive zone. We're right into Roosevelt. Hesch tries it again, but his good buddy Chris Drury was offside. This is the Dodge storyline recapping tonight.
Rangers all kinds of chances on the power play, yet to cash 0 for 5. Sean Avery having an effective night on the road, and Daniel Briere, 5 shots on goal in this game alone thus far. He has 7 in the playoffs on home ice coming into this one. Henrik Lundqvist perfect, as is his counterpart at the other end, Ryan Miller.
Darren, so many close games, so many one-goal decisions throughout these playoffs. We are involved in a scoreless affair in Buffalo at HSBC Arena. Drifting below 3 minutes to go in period 2. Briere shimmies it back behind the cage, then runs right to the front of the cage. Rakunik and Straka were there defensively. Brendan Shanahan, pair of goals in this series, both via the power play, 1 at home and 1 on the road for 14 in the white. The veteran playing catch with Avery, got over his tape. And Kalinin will slow things down.
Shanny, he's had the big goals. That 5 of the 2 of them are game winners. So that in combination with the good goaltending of Henrik Lundqvist, that's what playoff hockey's all about. Those saves stand up.
Did you just say good goaltending? Loose in front there. I think you're underselling it a bit. A get off stop by Lundqvist. A follow-up chance, and he made that save too. I believe you called it good goaltending. Just good. Yeah, good.
We've called it.
It's all right. It's good.
We've called it superlative. We've called it luminous. I thought I'd go the other direction this time. Spectacular.
A little help from the post there, too.
I mean, that's what happens when you're on your game. You've got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good. And right now, both guys down and deep. And that one finds him.
There you are again with that word good. Daniel Briere has got a whole bunch of anger for Henrik Lundqvist right now. As far as one-goal games are concerned, have a look. This has been the tightest playoff in the Stanley Cups since 1941.
Hotly contested because of the you fill-in-the-blank goaltending of guys like Lundqvist and Miller.
Darren, it goes even further in the second round. In the semifinal round this year, 76% of the games are one-goal decisions. Right now, referee Don Van Massenhoven is checking video review to see whether or not this went in.
Off the post and right back under him. I believe that was clear.
This will be the easiest review of the series.
Yeah. But again, point being, when you're on your game, these things go your way. When you're scuffling a bit as a goaltender, guaranteed that one hits you in the backside off the post and goes in the net. Briere wishes that would have happened.
Lundqvist, just marvelous since the All-Star break. Goals against average below 2, helping the Rangers win steadily down the stretch. Move themselves into the 6th seed position in the Eastern Conference, tangling with top-seeded Buffalo. The series is even at 2. This game 5 is tied at 0 with 1:45 to go in period 2. Long blast deflected down, juggled by Lundqvist, and the rebound goes to the corner. And again off for Spacek, working the cycle to Roy. Roy with those fast feet. Ortmeyer on for Isbister. Big man driving the lane. Isbister didn't get the backhand triggered. Spacek took his running room away. Malik booms it right to the belly of Ryan Miller. This series has featured some disputed goals. Darren, plenty of controversy.
Pominville driving the net. It was whistled a goal. Rakunik propelled into that. It was not a goal. And this inconclusive. So the call on the ice stood. Intuitively, you think it's all the way across the line. Inconclusive. Video replay. Call on the ice stood. No goal.
Please don't let it come down to another one of those tonight. With 1:16 to go in the second period.
He pleads.
Please. Goal scoring at a premium. Yeah, you know, throughout this series, I felt more like an attorney than a play-by-play guy.
Well, we had to use physics as well for the propelled versus distinct kicking motion, and both of those terms are in the rule book. So it got pretty finite. The guys in Toronto, you know, you just think where you've got it down to a science, if you will. They throw another little wrinkle at them. Doing a great job, the league, but can't be perfect every time. We're finding that out.
Nothing on the board. No red lights. Less than a minute to go in the second period in Buffalo. A sellout crowd in-house. Upwards of 9,000 more outside with a party on the plaza. And the city of Buffalo is just waiting to erupt with the first goal. Rangers would like to spoil the party. They've won the last 2 games in this series. Moving in, poke check. Miller made a good move there on Hossa. 30 seconds to go in the second period. Jágr, beautiful stick handling. Jágr turns the corner. Jaromir Jágr to the front. Ooh, Hossa almost had a tap in. Ludman around the lip of the dasher, not clear just yet. Second effort for Ludman will get the Sabres to center. 14 seconds to go in period 2. This is offside, and it will be an intentional offside against New York.
Jágr flexing his knee. Hossa in. Nice. Oh, that's old school. Ryan Miller with the butterfly, and then the poke check.
And then, Darren, while we were looking at that review, Jaromir Jágr had to be separated from that man, Dainis Zubras.
Yeah, and now Paul Mara talking to him, Zubras saying, yeah, bring it. Everyone's going back to the bench. Jágr goes over to him, Zubras right in his grill. Oh, a little rabbit punch by Jágr. Dainis Zubras doing his job, getting Jaromir Jágr off his game, but Jágr at the end of that play, Joe, came out of the zone, flexing that left leg, and you can see he's in some discomfort. Zubras upended him earlier in this series in the neutral zone, laid a licking on him there as well. On that tip, you can see he is really in some discomfort.
Jaromir Jágr, aside from this last little spell, has been in a very good, very positive frame of mind. As his Ranger team has battled back into this series, tied up at 2. 8 seconds to go in period 2. That pushing and shoving and exchange of barbs is to be expected. The venom is starting to heat up again in this series as it goes further and further along as we watch Jaromir Jágr.
He's sour now, Joe, I'll tell you that.
Taking his time to get out of the penalty box in need of a bit of a breather.
I don't know if it's a breather if he's seizing up over there. Like I said, he really was in some pain going to the bench. And you can see he is not right.
Sabre fans aren't showing him any love. As helping their passing ability, you'd have to imagine. Briere, Drury, Zubras across the top. Kalinin in back with Connolly for head coach Lindy Ruff. The reigning NHL Coach of the Year from a season ago and a finalist once again for that award in 2006-07. Connolly ratchets one deep. Malik lost it to Zubras' check to the front. Kalinin guides it for Connolly. Just getting going in the third. Briere looking for the first tally on the night. We are scoreless in Game 5 of this series. As it's golfed off the rink, we hear the whistle.
Briere's been all around it tonight. I often call him the catalyst because I just see him as a dynamo. When the Sabres are playing well and they're winning battles, even though he's a little guy, he's feisty, and he seems to be all around the puck when they're in sync on offense.
Avery was trying to irritate Zubras before the draw. The Rangers have scored first in the last 3 games of this series. Buffalo trying to upend that trend. As Avery maneuvers back, short-handed with Betts. Avery for Betts. Betts in! And it was Miller making the stop. There's a penalty call coming from referee Van Massenhoven.
And making it look easy. Ryan Miller, that is.
The penalty will be against Buffalo. Bye-bye power play. It's going to be 4-on-4.
I believe it's Kalinin. He of the bobble at the blue line that led to this. And that's a hook. That's in on the hands and the arm right there. Betts at the last second. Stick up into the offensive player's hands. Lands him in the box. There's Blair Betts. Excellent job on the penalty kill. As you said, you can have a roll all season long, but come playoff time, the Rangers getting it done.
Betts played every game this season. Here's Avery acting as the playmaker.
Boy, he has skill, doesn't he? More so than people gave him credit for, and he's been showing it this spring.
Everybody tends to focus on his antics and all the penalty minutes that usually follow. Maxim Finneganov working back with open ice, 4-on-4 with Teppo Numminen. Numminen softly to the cage. Lundqvist armed that away. Girardi for the Rangers, able to play it on back a bit strong for Cullen. Matt Cullen, who won a Stanley Cup a season ago with the Carolina Hurricanes. His former team didn't have the chance to defend that trophy in the playoff spring. They were knocked out, did not qualify. This is round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Our coverage continuing on Versus. The only game on the NHL calendar this Friday night is Game 5 here in Buffalo. Vanek had game-winning goals in Games 1 and 2 of the series. Scooped it into the corner, and Rozabal will latch onto it. 4-on-4 hockey will come to an end in 4 seconds. Jagr will emerge from the box. And this is Nylander leaving it on back. Nylander, who leads the Rangers in postseason scoring. Jagr sets it for Straka. Maneuvering away from Tolinder. Jagr and the Rangers on the power play now. Malik closing in. Marek Malik back behind the cage. 40 seconds on the power play. Jagr snapped one wide. Nylander threw one blindly to the slot. Tolinder was on patrol, and he'll chase the Rangers away.
Jagr looks fine now. After much grimacing, grumbling and groaning, he's skating up there full tilt.
That's Darren Elliott. I'm Joe Beninati as Rozabal works in. He's offside. Bob Harwood, our ringside reporter. Tip of the cap to all the men and women in our hard-working production crew here at HSBC Arena this Friday.
He's been so good on the ice. He's having fun off the ice. We talked with the Golden State Warriors reference. He had a Geico reference.
So easy, caveman could do. All we're going to do is win one in Buffalo.
It's simple, right? Even so easy, a caveman could do it. He's having fun. He wasn't having very much fun at the end of that second period.
No, Dinas Zubris irked him a bit. Zubris is out there now as Kalinin has just 5 more seconds left in his minor penalty. We move towards the 3-minute mark of period 3. Mara drives one into the corner. Paul Mara was on the board for the Rangers here in Buffalo in the first 2 games of the series. Mara out there, 27 in the white. Back behind the cage from Cullen. Upset by Palmenville. Lugman there to support defensively, and the Sabre rear guard comes away with it. Zubris with legs churning back through center. Palmenville and the backhander, it fluttered wide of Henrik Lundqvist. 5-on-5 these 2 teams skate, each looking for the first tally on the night, as we are more than 2 periods complete in this scoreless affair.
Goal very, very hard to come by. Both these goalies stingy. And teams as well, playing very disciplined.
Behind the cage, Briere darting in there looking for that stuff attempt, and Lundqvist was ready at the post along with the defender Feder to Ortmeyer. A buzzsaw on the forecheck came right after spot check. Pominville on the outlet. Connolly teaming up with Briere. Connolly in transition. Pominville whiff. Backing up the play. It was jammed aside by Lundqvist. Spotcheck tried to go high. Lundqvist was ready.
It's one thing to say you're going to go high, but, you know, these guys on their knees, they play with that real good posture from their waist up. You know, they're 6'1", they're 6'2", so there's not like there's a ton of room above the shoulders either.
You talk about a goaltending system, not a style per se.
I would say so. With the Allaire brothers, Francois out in Anaheim with Giguere and Benoit, his brother here.
Straka looking to the front for Avery. That was nudged aside by Ryan Miller. The netminders, as Darren has been mentioning, once again the scoring 27-15. The Sabres do have the shots on goal advantage. Vanek looking for another. Vanek got knocked down and awkwardly went to the split, and the youngster appears hurt. Vanek very slow to get back to his skates. As Kalinin touches up an icing call, Vanek is doubled over at the waist.
He was double teamed, so to speak, because his one move almost beat two guys at once, but it got him leaning. There's two guys converging. There's that inside-out move, and as he's going around Roosevelt, he got prone position and taken out, as you said, awkwardly. Good save and a beauty. Good from the goaltenders in 1976. Not so good when you're forward in 2007.
That can't be good for the hamstring or groin. As Roosevelt propels back through center. Roosevelt barred from the Sabre half by Hesht, and then Hesht gets into a little shouting match with Avery. He'll try on any customer right about now.
He hasn't crossed that invisible proverbial line, Sean Avery, while playing effective hockey. Down goes Roosevelt. In comes everybody else. Sean Avery, Brendan Shanahan, Martin Straka. They've scored some big goals in the playoffs so far.
Rangers building their confidence. Tom Rennie has said it's been coming along with the way they've played the last 2 months of the regular season, with the way they've performed in this Eastern Conference semifinal.
It's been the guys in front of Lundqvist. We talked about Benoit there, the system, build a wall. That's what the brothers talk about. Lundqvist, solid foundation. The best in the business right now, for my money, taking away the bottom part of the net. None better.
I agree. Loose in front, Cullen will pounce on that, and the Rangers in the traveling whites here in Game 5, jetting back through center. Callahan with a blast, and a toe save by Miller. Cullen working feverishly. Pruka from the angle, sent it wide. Adam Mayer for the Sabres, teaming up with Paul Gostad, who's made his return to the Sabre lineup tonight. Gostad back after an ankle tendon injury, kept him out since early February. Lindy Ruff will change as Mara collects.
Nice to have him back, but I don't want to leave out Jim Corsi and the fine work he's done with Ryan Miller, bringing him along. Ryan Miller had to learn more of the mental side of the game. He was kind of worried about the wrong things, but he has settled in to be one of the elite goaltenders in this league. And what a battle they're having with these 20-somethings, mid-20s. They'll be battling for a long, long time in the Eastern Conference, these two.
Both of them so steady. Miller at age 26, Lundqvist at age 25. Nothing on the board. Zubris looking to change that when we're back. No score in Buffalo. Bud Light mic'd up. Blair Betts giving credit where credit is due.
Great. I gotta bury that.
Oh, and he puts his head down in shame. He knows, sent in alone by Sean Avery. Blair Betts giving credit and a little bit of berating of himself.
Sabres fans having fun on a Friday night here at HSBC Arena. Another sellout, as they've grown accustomed to here in Western New York. This Eastern Conference semifinal is deadlocked at 2 games apiece. Zubris lassoed by Jágr. Zubris shortening up on his stick. Sabre fans want the call on the Ranger cap, and they won't get it. Good defensive work. And now Jágr goes in transition. Jaromir Jágr with poise on the outside. Lubin fending him off. Roosevelt helping out. Sturdy shoulder hit coming from Zubris again. Time and space for Drury to lob it back. Roosevelt on the rewind with Malik. 2 teams even strength, 5-on-5, 7 minutes deep in a scoreless hockey game. The time left in the third period dwindling. Ludman retracing his steps. The fans cheering, "Let's go Buffalo." Long dump in, no worries for Lundqvist. Kotelik is the first to it, knocked down by Tuch. Tuch then coughed it up to Connolly. To the front, bang, bang, play was blocked as Kalinin jumped up. Sabres trying to get some production from the back line. Clean in the front. Deflection. Briere, and that was ushered away. Lundqvist on guard again. Briere. Turning and burning. Back they come. Jumping to the inside. Snap. Wrister. Lundqvist. Ready for Connolly. Lundqvist deep in the cage, but still not pierced.
Great shift. Fans love it. Here's what they wanted to do. Shoot it from 20 feet. Get it high. Still can't get it by Lundqvist. 6'1", flat-footed, on his knees, still taking away most of the 4 feet elevation to the crossbar.
Lundqvist matching Ryan Miller 0 for 0 in this hockey game with 12:17 to go in regulation time. Cullen won the draw, but it was actually corralled by the Sabre winger, keeping them in the attack territory. Vanek steps away from Rakunik. Campbell with a long wrister, and that's right to the midsection of Lundqvist as we share some time with Bob Harwood.
Guys, the Sabres' shots on goal total from a defenseman standpoint for this game is now up to 5. That's a little bit better than the 2 they were held to in game number 4 in New York, and I talked to their coaching staff about the importance of involving those guys. You saw it when Kalinin and Briere got together just a few seconds ago on a tip-in possibility. Brian McCutcheon in particular said, we can't tee it up and wait for the ideal situation. These guys have to be flicking and dumping the puck in and making it playable. But Darren, as you said, credit the forwards on the Rangers for getting in their way so far, eliminating those lanes.
Exactly right, Bob. The one thing about it, in checking the numbers, really, Buffalo's defense isn't so much about getting shots on goal from their defense, it's adding men to the attack. So, shots on goal isn't always the measure, but Buffalo getting them involved in the attack, jumping up in these kinds of situations is a good measure.
And Finnegan off full blast back ahead and then turned to the boards. Rakunik defensively. Mara on the outlet pass off the blade of Callahan, and he low bridged the Sabre bench as it went out of play. No score in this one in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals. Lindy Ruff's team trying to get the advantage in this series before we swing back to Madison Square Garden. This series will be there for Game 6 on Sunday, a game you can see on NBC.
The other thing of note, Brian Campbell, he'll shoot, defenseman for the Buffalo Sabres, but Bob brings up a good point about getting shots on goal from the point position, but on their power play, oftentimes they use 4 forwards. So those don't get counted into that mix, even though they probably should.
Darren, it's Nylander and Jagr and Isbister for the moment. As Tom Rennie takes Hossa off the flank to the left of Nylander and plays a little hunch with Isbister now.
Isbister filled in very nicely. Latter part of the season, regular season, that is, Marcel Hossa went out of the lineup for 16 games, and Isbister came up and filled this role right here.
Jaromir Jagr leaves it in his wake. Nylander saucers it into the corner. Ludman hard around and right on by Jochen Hesch. No harm done from Buffalo's standpoint as Roosevelt retreats. Picking up Marek Malik. On for Isbister. In tandem with Blair Betts. Drop past Jagr. Jagr zooming in. Not going to get it around Numanen. Tootin on the recoil at center. Both teams in the midst of personnel changing. Betts. Nice pass. Backhander Ortmeyer. And that's secured by Ryan Miller. No score in Game 5. The NHL playoffs every night on Versus. Tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, Senators, Devils, Game 5. And for New Jersey, definitely do or die. The Stanley Cup playoffs on Versus.
That would be a do or die situation.
No doubt.
You are correct.
No doubt. Trailing 3 games to 1. Daniel Alfredsson has been terrific this spring for the Ottawa Senators. We try to close out Lou Lamoriello's Devils on the morrow.
As has been Danny Heatley.
Yeah.
Jason Spezza, that top line. Getting it done. Tom Rennie's top line, he knows all about that. They're playing great hockey in the springtime and, not coincidentally, having some spring success themselves.
Tom Rennie's opposite number, Lindy Ruff, was talking about his team getting the mindset in the right place and just going for it. Stop being negative after they dropped a couple of tight games at Madison Square Garden. He said the illusion is that Buffalo's supposed to win every game they lace them up for.
And he was very candid as usual, Lindy Ruff. Hard on his power play, but in the overall, very positive as you would expect. They are a good team, and they are offense first. And when I say offense first, they have to defend, obviously, but they want to skate and put pressure on the opposition. So I think they've done a pretty nice job of it in this game, notwithstanding the power plays. But it has been harder and harder to score, and I think that's pretty telltale of how hotly contested each inch of ice is come postseason time.
Sabres losing games 3 and 4 in Manhattan. The first time in nearly 2 months they had lost back-to-back games. Hossa out there now. Ooh, shouldered in sturdy fashion by Spacek.
Well, how about the fact that they only scored 1 goal in back-to-back games? First time that's happened in almost 13 months.
Speaks volumes about how prolific that offense can be. Tom Rennie says it's a Buffalo team that loves to make a statement with its offensive splash. Well, nobody's in the pool yet.
They were trying to make a statement in that second period with 17 shots on goal. And Lundqvist made a statement of his own.
Vanek for the Sabres. Fanned on a clearing attempt. We get a little help from Newman, and he fanned just the same. Avery and Shanahan and Straka out there now. Dmitry Kalinin for Buffalo, on for Derek Roy. Next in line, it's a Finnegan on through for Vanek. He tried a little chip and chase around Girardi. Didn't get it past the young defender. 8:50 to go in this third period and still scoreless. Off the wall, collected by Roy. In tight quarters for a Finnegan triple team. Girardi for New York. On through to Kruka. He'll be happy just to dump it in. Ryan Miller shakes it along the lip of the boards. Vanek seizes it. Finnegan off on a little timing play. Got there a step late. Cullen rockets it off the ice. 8:23 to go inside of HSBC Arena. Outside, almost 10,000 partying on the plaza and hoping to see their team strike first. Well put, Bill. No score here in Buffalo, and if you're thinking about potential heroes, those two guys have factored in a lot in their careers.
Clutch goals, key times, making the most of their goal scoring. I don't bet on either one of those guys.
Drury with a wrister padded down by Lundqvist. Chris Drury more playoff game-winning goals than anyone in the NHL since he entered the league in '99. Sabres worked over by Malik. Two teams at even strength, just under 8 minutes to play in this third period. A chance to break. Isbister and Jagr, 2-on-1. Jagr closing, hits the late guy Nylander, walking in, he scores! It's washed out. Goalie interference against Isbister. Yeah. No goal.
And then worse than that, Isbister then goes to the box as well. Double indemnity there for Isbister. Nobody in the building in this hockey-savvy market knew exactly what was going on. They do now, and they're rejoicing. Watch this breeze. Well, he bumped into him. Couldn't get set. There are goalies across North America right now who are saying, you know what, I played when. You know what? Ryan Miller plays now. Bumped into, it stands as a penalty.
Darren, you spend a lot of time with your nose in that rule book. It says you can't impair or impede the goalie's ability to do his job.
It says you must make your best effort to avoid contact.
Yeah. So here come the Sabres with a sellout house roaring full throat, trying to support them on to the game's first tally. Power play time for the boys in blue.
The thing there, though, you have to watch, Isbister wasn't forced into the crease. He meandered in there himself and did draw contact, however slight.
Derek Roy slicing in there with a Finneganoff. He made a bad pass. Shanahan sniffed it out. Shanahan working against Kalinin, and Kalinin put the arm up. Straka joining the rush. Shanahan slap pass. It bounced over the blade of Straka, and the Sabres will settle. 60 seconds with which to work on the power play. Another bad pass.
That's a Finneganoff for you. He's been good middle part of this hockey game with his speed. But his decision at the offensive blue line there was risky.
Drury timing it for Connolly. Connolly to the front. Bang, bang play for Zubris. Didn't get through. Roosevelt with a block. Campbell on top for Drury. Campbell switching sides now. Connolly shakes for Briere. Eyeballed by Roosevelt. Connolly comes back. Campbell at the top of the circle. Connolly one-timer. Didn't get through the traffic. Zubris still 25 seconds in the power play. Marek Malik on a takeaway, and he'll send Buffalo away. Connolly hearing words of instruction from Ryan Miller. Connolly zips his way back through center. At the line with Zubris. Back for Connolly again, shouldered by Avery. Blair Betts comes rocketing out of the zone. Betts with a step on the defender. Right on in. Great save by Miller. Jailbreak, back come the Sabres, it's Briere, 3-on-2. One more look for Drury, and it's behind him. Pominville working off the dasher. Briere behind the cage. Muzzled. Mara came to him quickly. Drury with a reach. Avery didn't get it out. Drury sets up shop again. Ludman, punt fake. No running room. Betts has been outstanding defensively.
He really has. What a burst of speed he had. The open ice getting in on Miller.
Back behind the cage. That pass was intended for Pominville. It was Steve by Avery. Pominville will try it again. Clicking with Drury. One more time. Briere. Stuff attempt. High in the air. Loose in front. And Lundqvist will cover. This game stays 0-0 as Avery gets entangled with Briere. The sticks came up high. 5 minutes exactly in regulation time. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Rangers and the Sabres are tied up at 2. Lundqvist keeping the Sabres away at one end. At the other, Ryan Miller had to be Johnny on the spot against Blair Betts. Don't you dare move now as the playoffs continue on Versus. Yes, sir, I'll take mine hot and crispy. Buffalo wings in Buffalo, New York. Down the stretch with 5 minutes to go in regulation time. A scoreless affair at HSBC.
Those did look good.
You're getting a little hungry, too?
And we may have to order out.
Send out. Nylander to the front for Yager on its bumpy way. And a bad save for Ryan Miller. For Miller unofficially, 19 stops to his credit. Yager on the outside, threw it to the front. His pistol was parked there. Roosevelt scampers down from his D position. Pesh interrupting Yager along the dasher. Ludman clears. 5-on-5 they go. Rangers in the white. This is Game 5 of the Eastern semifinal. 80% of the teams that win Game 5 when the series is tied at 2 go on to win the series. Back behind the cage, Malik plays it on around. Hest is there. Pruka gets into fray. It is Pruka forced back by Malik. A lead for Cullen. One more on the relay to Pruka. Pruka's backhander deflected high by Campbell. Around the ledge, right to the waiting Daniel Briere. How many quality chances has Briere had tonight? Stifled by Henrik Lundqvist.
He's had 7 shots on goal. At least half of those, maybe more, maybe 5 of the 7 in quality scoring chances by my unofficial count.
I'll take your word for it. Tom Rennie in the midst of a shift change. Fedor Tutin works back through center. That long last that was slowed. Weakened on the way. Campbell uses the window to get it back to center. It's still Let's Go Buffalo inside of HSBC Arena. Straka, snap wrister, off the inside of the post. The light came on. The light came on. Straka beat Miller. It looked like it hit iron.
The
A
referee.
delayed reaction, Darren. The red light came on, and guess what? Another video review.
You jinxed us. Van Massenhoven waved it off, and then the red light came on. The shot over the blocker. That looks in. Oh, that looks right in the middle of the net. Underneath the arm. Blocker's side of Ryan Miller. Straka with the long range rip. Goal cam look at it. And I would say that jostling of the camera is a pretty good indication that, oh, it may have hit the camera, but it's under review yet again.
John Gallipo in-house here at HSBC Arena as we share another point of view with you. This one looks to be academic when you consider that the camera jumps. The overhead angle.
Right there. I think you look at, there it comes through the paint, back off the middle, right off the middle, off the camera. Came out on a weird angle because it hit the camera. And that's where everybody was wondering, how does that come out on that angle? Well, it hit the camera. That's in the net behind Ryan Miller, and now Straka has put the Rangers on top, stunned this crowd. Straka points in every road game now in this postseason. The quiet one has quieted this crowd.
What a sneaky delivery that was.
But he got lots on it, though.
He shot it through the defender's legs and perfectly into the center seam of the net at 16:41. And now this Buffalo team, which has been very good during the regular season when it comes to come from behind efforts, must rally or else they're going to go to New York on Sunday facing elimination. 1-0 New York, 2:54 to go in the third. Buckle up. Kalinin forced back by Yager. Numanen, board to board. The Finnegan off in stride. Stopped in his tracks by Roosevelt. Yager bracing himself for the hit right in front of the Ranger bench. Ludman giving some ground away from Nylander. Coughed it up. And Isbister will channel it on back. 2:25 to go in the third. Callahan on the forecheck. Callahan on the takeaway. Spins one wide. Trying to give the Rangers a little insurance late. Martin Straka, if you just tuned in, 16:41, the time of the tally. That's it in this hockey game. Belinder creams one in from center. Connolly is the first man there. Back behind the cage, Commandel and Briere. Briere throws it back through the vacant slot, all the way into Miller's neighborhood. Less than 2 to go in the third, in front of a stunned sellout crowd. Roosevelt sweeps it away. The Sabres have won the last 4 times they've tangled with New York on this ice sheet. They had beaten the Rangers 6 straight times prior to game 3 and 4 in this series.
Well, they're going to beat Henrik Lundqvist. You need a little bit of luck. Hasn't happened. They've had some good looks. All the luck has been Lundqvist's way. Even when he hasn't been sharp, which is rare, he's had the fortunate bounces. Off the pipe, right back to him, no rebound. Up and over, off the awning, and he still comes up with it.
He's had a little bit of the horseshoe work. Numanen chips it in. Sabres in the attack territory in blue. Ryan Miller looking for instructions from the Sabre bench as to when he'll leave for the extra skater. 1:30 to go in the third period. Sabres need one to force OT, or else they fall behind in this series 3 games to 2. Along the dasher, they duel. Numanen sifting away from Straka. Kotelik had that one knocked away. Kotelik regroups. Bad shooting angle now. Too hot to handle for Zubris, and the Sabres are going to have to race back onto their half. Straka wins the race. Tries to feed Shanahan, and Kalinin got back. Chris Drury snaking his way through center. Miller's about 40 feet from the cage and now on his way to the bench. 55 seconds to go in the third. Briere hot-foots it after Nylander. Zubris wins the battle. Vanek switching it up. Vanek hanging on. Ludman to the outside for Campbell. Campbell towards the goal, too high. 40 seconds to go in the third. Yager defensively in the last minute of the game trying to get it out. Yager tying things up along the boards. Great work by the Ranger captain. 30 seconds to go in the third period. Last-ditch effort for Buffalo. Sabres along the boards with Vanek. Taken away by Tootin, and he'll send Buffalo packing. Campbell's got a sprint to save time. He hustles back. 16.2 to play.
The goaltender. Brilliance plus bounces equals unbeatable. Buffalo down to their last offensive zone faceoff with 16 seconds. Probably stupefied at this point, Joe. They have done an awful lot at even strength, especially in that second period. Timeout obviously taken.
Henrik Lundqvist continues to stymie the top-seeded Sabres, who are in a whole heap of trouble right now, as both teams are in the classroom in front of their benches. Martin Straka at 16:41 of the third from Girardi and Shanahan, putting Drury and the Sabres in a hole.
Got to give the hometown goal judge a lot of credit. Even though the referee's waving it off, the red light went on. And that gave the indication as well for the second official in the neutral zone to blow the whistle, because I think that he actually had a better vantage point than Don Van Massenhoven, who was behind the line in that odd bounce off the camera that's mounted in the net.
So much success for Buffalo during the regular season. 53 wins, 113 points. Ryan Miller can't bear to look. He's hoping that his gang can bail him out. The net is empty, 6 attackers on. Drury ready to draw. Linesman Kovacic sends it down. Control is earned by Buffalo. Drury to the front, backside, wrister, stop, scramble, score! Chris Drury ties it!
That was outside. Inside. Who else? You've got to be kidding. Some guys have the flair for the dramatic. Dramatic starts with D. Drury with the drama yet again. What a shot. Incredible. This place is exploding.
Right place, right time, 19:52 of the third period, and the Rangers and Sabres will need some extra time on Versus. Drury sheds the tape. The party on the plaza is now really kicking into high gear. HSBC Arena, just a cauldron of excitement. 1-1 Rangers and Sabres. Team trying to take a 3-2 series lead with them to New York City. Game 6 in the series is Sunday afternoon on NBC. Between now and then, this should be something to enjoy. It's 5-on-5 in OT in the playoffs, and we're underway. Marek Malik forced back by Zubas, who has been a hitting machine in this series. Roosevelt pressured by Hesh. Zubas rakes it free. Sharp angle off the side of the pad of Lundqvist. Isbister didn't get it out, but the Rangers will, with Nylander in charge. And an early penalty. A penalty 27 seconds into overtime against Buffalo for hooking.
And it's Chris Drury. Stick up high. Maybe a little bit of gamesmanship as the arm comes down to clamp down and make it look like it was a hook. But the stick's in a vulnerable spot when you're up there with no body position. Lindy Ruff can't believe it.
Rangers during regulation were 0 for 6 with the manpower advantage. In the playoffs, they are #1 ranked in the NHL, cooking better than 23%. Trying to win this one early. Roy on his birthday, his 24th birthday, able to clear. He's out there in a penalty-killing role along with Jason Pominville, Tony Lubman, and Henrik Tallinder. The pressure's on now on Ryan Miller between the pipes for Buffalo. Roosevelt scales it in. Miller bats it to the boards. Roy sends it out.
That's good communication between Roy and the goaltender, Miller. Miller put it to a spot that Roy could handle it and get the clear.
Roosevelt had the OT winner for the Rangers in Game 3 of this series at MSG. It took 2 overtime sessions. It was the longest Ranger game in 36 years. Jágr trying to end this one soon. Nylander for Jágr once more to the front. Deflection try! Miller made the save on Shanahan. A blind tipping attempt. Jágr waits. Manpower advantage another 60 seconds. Tallinder comes to call on him. And it comes back for Jochen Hesch. A long blast that's padded away by Henrik Lundqvist. Mara, as we are into the 2nd minute of sudden death overtime. Rangers in the white sweaters, skating 5-on-4 for 40 seconds. Kruka darting in there. Miller leaves the crease. Good forecheck for Callahan. Bounce loose to the Rochester, New York native. On for Mara again. Lurking behind the cage, it's Cullen. Cullen corralled by Newman. Mara walks to a better shooting lane. Long blast, snatched out of the air. Ryan Miller with a save on Rakunin.
Puck movement on the power play. Rangers go around the horn. Rakunin. You see Miller had a lane, able to snag that one.
Carl Rakunin, who has never scored in his career against the Buffalo Sabres, trying to change that. Derek Roy on it for Buffalo, and once more he'll toss it to Henrik Lundqvist. Drury will be set free in 14 seconds. Mara guns it in from center. The scoreboard is level at 1 in overtime. Cullen right to the front. Good poke check by Pominville. Rakunin steers it into the corner. Kruka is there. Cullen to support along with Callahan. Marked by Newman. Roy on the advance for Drury. Turned back again by Mara. Tom Brenny will change for New York.
And there is hockey, by definition, a team game. Drury, the heroics at the end of regulation. The penalty killers bail him out for that early penalty he took first face-off in overtime.
Yep, they picked him up big time. Fedor Tutin for the Rangers. With patience. Good outlet. On the wing, Avery for Shanahan. Shanahan driving wide, Avery running to the net. Shanahan, the late guy, Tutin walking in, he fires! That's deflected away. Straka was setting the screen. Avery fished it out of the corner. Shanahan maneuvering in. Brendan Shanahan so dangerous in these situations. To the front, that was guided away from the crease by Tim Connolly. Girardi back on it for the Rangers. 3.5 minutes into overtime. Girardi's pass was off the target and will be an icing against New York.
You mentioned the double overtime. Time expiring in the 2nd overtime. Michael Roosevelt ends it. An epic game. Jágr in front of the net, setting the screen. Role reversal, so to speak. The steady Eddie on the blue line becomes game-winning goal hero Roosevelt. Who will be that hero tonight?
First time a Ranger defender scored an overtime game winner in 67 years.
As Patrick.
Nice. A Muzz mention. Fedor Tutin pinned to the boards by Zubris. Zubris throws it to the wing. Tallinder with a wrister through. Traffic, it's loose. Rebound! Oh! Zubris didn't get the backhand over the fallen netminder. Tallinder reloads, and he sent it wide. Even strength 5-on-5. Sabres in the blue here defending their home turf. HSBC Arena in sudden death. The Stanley Cup playoffs continuing on versus. Jágr hoists it into the corner. Lubman collects. Charging back, it's Jochen Hesch. Hesch pinned to the boards by Roosevelt. Malik comes to his aid. And around the turnstile and out again. Kalinin. Sightseeing with Newman. Good pass for Derek Roy. He's in. Finneganov put it off the outside of the cage. There's a penalty call coming. This time it's going to be against New York.
Donovan Masinoven with the call. The crowd loving it. Chances by the Sabres. Tom Rennie sees his team squander another power play in overtime. Sabres get right back at Tallinder to a spot. And then here's a chance on the doorstep. Zubris swipes at it on the backhand. Up off of Girardi's skate, possibly. And then the hook. Finneganov getting to the spot with his speed. Blair Betts, the hook on the hands.
The Sabres swept the Rangers in the regular season 4 games. 3 of the 4 game winners were scored on the power play. Roy, Vanek, Finneganov, Pominville closing, pumps it high. 5th man in that unit is Dmitry Kalinin right here at the point. Kalinin for Finneganov, matched up with Mara. Long drive, score! Out of the lineup, and then into the Game 5 winner's circle. Maxim Finneganov.
What a turn of events for Finneganov as an individual and the Sabres as a team. Power play puck movement. Finneganov, who set this up with his drive to the net. The hooking call. It was a bit of a drooper, but it found a spot between the pads of Henrik Lundqvist. Limelight and the winner's circle, as you called it, Joe.
Maxim Finneganov, 4:39 of the extra session. The 4th shot of the period for the Sabres. And Finneganov gets the hero's recognition from the sellout crowd, indoors and outside on the plaza. The Buffalo Sabres, the top seeds in the East, lead the Eastern Conference semifinals 3-2. It is still deafening inside of this arena in Western New York. The Sabres with a Houdini act, getting themselves off the hook late in regulation and winning it in OT. Maxim Finneganov with a game winner for Darren Elliott, for Bob Harwood, for all the men and women in our Versus crew. Joe Beninati, thanking you for your time. Hockey Central presented by Esurance. It's coming up after the break. You'll be checking into the studio with Bill Clement, Ryan Engblom, and Keith Jones. The Sabres have the lead in the series.